orange juice. Beat well and fold in the flour until well blended. Drop the batter by well-rounded teaspoonfuls into a cookie sheet lined with parchment, or wax paper is just as good. Bake the cookies for 14 or 15 minutes until the edges begin to brown. Incidentally, a teaspoon of coriander can be added to this batter for a unique and special taste. Enjoy. Thanks for enjoying this great recipe with us. If you'd like a copy of this or any other recipe seen on the Television Food Network, please send a self-addressed stamped envelope with the name of the recipe to TVFN Recipe, Post Office Box 4836, New York, New York 10185. Again, that address, TVFN Recipe, Post Office Box 4836, New York, New York 10185. See you again soon.
Hi, I'm Susan Cranwinkle, and this is How to Boil Water, the show for the secret chef in all of us. Today we'll bring out the kid in all of us. We're going to make simple brownies. But first I'm going to give you some homework. We're going to choose and use a bunch of kitchen gadgets, from wooden spoons to bakeware. And here is a wonderful selection of some of those gadgets that you might want to have in your kitchen. Again, I don't think they have to be brand new. I think that you can look around your kitchen and maybe some of them are already there for you. I love to use tongs. We turned bacon over with them, all sorts of things, great for bringing corn out of a big pot of boiling water. There are all kinds of tongs too. I like these shorter ones. There's some real long ones if you want, whatever you want. I love to have some of these rubber spatulas around. And if you're a baker, you're going to want to have this great big one because it reaches right down into the bottom of that baking pan and gets all of that cake dough right out of there. In fact, my kids used to call this something like a kid cheater because that meant that when they licked the bowl there wasn't much in there. But they're really great to use. I also like to have a lot of these smaller sizes. They're wonderful cleaning out your food processor. And they do have some of them that are out nowadays that you can buy at a cookware store that can go into your nonstick pans so that you can use them to stir right in there. But make sure there's a little label on there that tells you, because I've melted down a couple of these too. Another thing I love to use are all sorts of different kinds of wooden spoons, and it doesn't matter to me if they're a fancy, wonderful wood like this, or if they're rounded like that, or pointy like this. The thing I like about them is you can leave them in the pot while you're stirring. You can put them on the side of the pot, and if you're home alone, you can dip into the pot and take a taste out of the wooden spoon without it burning your mouth. But these are just really handy to have. I put them right in the dishwasher, and that gets them nice and clean. We'll always ask for a selection of these. Another thing that you really do need are some sorts of whisks. Now this one is a restaurant supply house whisk. It is big and huge and really probably bigger than what you're going to use, but it's nice to have here to show you. This is more like the type you want, although I like this kind with the pointy end down here because I use this for making sauces and gravy, and it kind of gets right into the corner of the pan, while this one is a little flat for that. In the olden days, you know, they used to use these whisks to beat egg whites. Don't worry, we're not going to do that today. That's really tough and takes a lot of time. We now have a mixer. So those are just a couple of things you might want to have. I like to have a nice little nut chopper. You could do this in the food processor if you wanted to, but the nut chopper doesn't grind them up quite as much. And what we'll do is just put them right in there. And you might have noticed a little white piece of stuff down there on the bottom. And you might have thought, uh-oh, she's going to leave some paper in there. But in fact, that's a little plastic-coated cover that protects the bottom of your nut chopper. So we'll put our nuts in, just like this. And sometimes when you're baking, if you use your food processor for the nuts, it just pulverizes them and almost turns them into a paste, and you don't want to do that, especially in your brownies. You want to be able to know that you have nice big chunks of it. And this just comes down, and you twist it like that, and it's just about right. Now, I'm going to tell you something about nuts that I think make all the difference in the world, how they taste. And that is, they're much better if you toast them first. Now, you can put these in to just a nice, on a cookie sheet if you want to, or you can take them over here to your stove and pour them into a saute pan. Turn the pan on high and watch them. And they're going to have a wonderful, wonderful, first place they're going to start smelling, and they'll have twice as good a taste if you've done that. Now, we'll just watch these for a minute. I'll take this is one of those nice non-stick skillets, so we can just make them go back and forth. Again, remember, do it on high and watch them. I can't tell you how many nuts I have burned. And I know the way that burned walnuts taste and burned hazelnuts smell and everything else. Now, if you're going to use a lot of nuts when you're baking too, another good idea is to bring them home, take them out of the sack that they're in, put them in a plastic bag, and keep them in the freezer. Much better than keeping them down in a drawer or something. Now, these are not quite going yet, but what I do is take them right out of the freezer, put them into a skillet, or put them into a baking pan, and they'll have a whole lot of flavor for you. Next, I guarantee you some great moments. We're going to grate lemon rinds and orange peels when we return to How to Boil Water. Stick around.
Debbie Fields of Mrs. Fields Cookies is serving up some of the most mouth-watering recipes you've ever tasted. From cookies and cakes to pies and tarts, Debbie's creations range from the simple to the simply spectacular. So indulge in TV's most sinful half hour, The Dessert Show, weeknights on the TV Food Network.
That's what's cooking on cable for you.
Tonight at 8:30.
I finally made the offensive line.
He's made the offensive line all right.
And I never miss practice.
Never missed one practice.
Presenting Ultra Gain.
If things work out, I'll make first string.
Things will work out.
Gain's got the power to get tough laundry so thoroughly clean, it smells like it was dried in the sunshine.
Now don't get any dirt on my nice clean uniform.
No dirt on the uniform.
Ultra Gain cleans and freshens like sunshine.
Getting these things open shouldn't be like. What'll it take to pop this top? Can't someone pull it off?
Rubbermaid just made food storage easy with new Easy Tops containers made with amazing tops that are a cinch to open and a snap to close. And like all our containers, they've got that great Rubbermaid seal. So keeping food fresh is as easy as Easy Tops from Rubbermaid. Nothing's better made.
5 ounces of milk make every 3/4 ounce Kraft single taste better. How do they do that?
Dr. Milk uses a machine to fill singles up with milk. Then his helper Mingo squishes them flat.
More milk means better taste, and every 3/4 ounce Kraft single is made from 5 ounces of milk.
Woo!
Unlike imitation cheese made mostly with oil and water.
Dr. Milk knows.
Milk makes Kraft singles taste better.
K-R-A-F-T. Way to go, Mingo.
Welcome back. The name of our show is How to Boil Water, and I'm Susan Cranwinkle. Right now, we definitely have some great work ahead of us, and here's the grater that we're going to start with. One of the things that the food processor is wonderful for is grating cheeses and vegetables and that kind of thing, but it just doesn't do real well on lemon rind and orange rind. So the manufacturers have come up with some fancy little things. Let me take this lemon and show you this zester. It has little tiny holes and it's pretty sharp, and what you do is just bring that down like that, and it makes wonderful little rounds of lemon zest, and it smells good too. And just do another one. It's a way that you can decorate your lemon if you want to, or get some nice lemon peel. And I think that is a great little gadget. This is another grater that you'll see a lot of different places, and I'm not quite so crazy about it because it tends to grate your fingernails and your knuckles as well as the lemon. But let me show you how it works a little bit. And you can see that it just doesn't quite do the ticket. It will scrape that just a tad, and that's what you come up with there. Not very much for all that hard work. But I do love to use just a plain old-fashioned four-sided grater also. And I will show you just a quick little trick that keeps you from, in this case, grating your fingernails and your knuckles. You're going to want a piece of waxed paper. You know, waxed paper just about became extinct, and now it's back in thanks to the microwave and other sorts of kitchen things. And you just tuck this kind of around your grater like that. We'll take a nice big orange, and you just grate up and down. And usually when you're grating, and especially something fine like this, all of it goes back into the back, and it's really hard to get it out. So this will give you the orange rind that we want. And let me show you there. You just slip this off, and all the rind is right there and ready to go, and we're going to put it into our brownies. Now, you don't have to, but I think it gives the brownies a little more taste to do that. But your grater is all clean and ready to go then. Now, some of the things that you might want to have as bakeware in your kitchen are a nice muffin tin, and I like to have the non-stick kind of muffin tins. I just think it works a whole lot better. But if you don't, remember there's this great kitchen spray, and before I do muffins, I'll just buzz it into all of those. As a matter of fact, I even use this on my non-stick ones. Just, you don't want things to stick. That makes you nervous. So we'll use that. Now, how about cookie sheets? Here's a plain old wonderful cookie sheet. It is non-stick. It's made of tin. It's fairly lightweight, and I think it's the greatest thing that you can have. There is a new kind of cookie sheet out, or I guess it's not new, it's been out for a while, and it's cushioned on the bottom. It has 2 layers here, and the manufacturers say this is wonderful for not burning the bottom of your cookies, and we certainly wouldn't want burned bottoms. But I've also found that it doesn't let your chocolate chip cookies get nice and crispy. So I have one of these, but actually I usually use those most of the time. And here's a nice big baking dish. This also is non-stick, but it's not the size that we want for our brownie. But that doesn't mean that you have to run out and get anything else. I'll show you what you can do if you want to turn this, this is about a 12-inch pan by 8 inches into an 8 by 8, which is what we want for our brownies. And you'll just take a nice piece of aluminum foil and fold it over a couple of times like this, and then kind of squish it around into just exactly the size you want. And you'll find that when you put your batter in there, it will stay in place. And there is your half-size pan. Now, one thing you have to remember when you do this is this may be non-stick here, but the aluminum foil isn't. So unless you want to eat the brownies that have stuck in there, remember to take a little spray and spray it right in there. And then that makes this pan a whole lot more versatile. And we'll put that right there. Here's our grated orange and lemon rind. You could put grated lemon rind into the brownies if you wanted to, whatever kind of feels good for you. We're going to get started over here on our skillet. And I like to make my brownies in a great big skillet. You don't have to mix them. You don't need a mixer. This is the way to do it. And I always start with the unsweetened chocolate. Now, melting chocolate is one of the most difficult things that bakers do, and that's because we melt it too fast. So this pan is on kind of medium. I'm going to turn it up just a little bit more, and I'm going to put 2 ounces or 2 squares of chocolate in there and a stick of butter. And I like to use real butter. You can use margarine if you want, but I think real butter is great. So we have a 1/2 cup or 1 stick of butter in there, and we'll melt them together. Now, I did tell you that some of these are meant to work into your skillet, and I'm not sure whether this one is or not. So I think I'll pop over and get one of my wooden spoons, and we'll melt these 2 together, and just do it nice and low. This is a nice heavy skillet, which is what you need for doing butter and chocolate together. You're using the unsweetened chocolate here, which means that it doesn't have any sugar in it, and that's really what you want to do with your brownies. You can also make a double recipe if you want to, and in a little while we'll take our grated rind and put it right in there. Well, all grated things must come to an end, but we'll be back to bake our brownies when How to Boil Water returns. You better stick around because the brownies won't.
Isn't it time you lightened up? Your meals, that is.
So I'm Curtis Akins, just raring to go.
Curtis Akins shows you how to cook and eat healthier as he turns up the heat without using meat.
It's real simple.
Meals without meat.
Watch me every day and I'll give you some.
If you've got a passion for produce, learn how to be a garden gourmet.
Ooh, all right. Yeah, that's nice. I like that.
Watch Meals Without Meat, only on the TV Food Network.
Tonight at 9.
That's a big box of cereal. Yep. What's in it? Kix. There's big marshmallows, right? Nope. Big fudge things?
Kix is just a simple cereal with crunchy little puffs of corn. And Kix is low in sugar. That's a pretty big thing.
They're really little. But they're really good. Yeah, I'll get the milk.
Kix, kid tested, mother approved.
After my divorce, I was up to my neck in debts and lost all my credit cards. I thought I'd never get a credit card again. With First Consumers National Bank, I got a Secured and More MasterCard, plus benefits other cards didn't offer.
I won't kid you. My credit was bad. But I've done my homework on secured credit cards. FCNB is the only bank to offer a credit line that's 150% of deposit, without processing fees.
Now you can get the credit you need, regardless of past credit problems, with the Secured and More MasterCard. Apply now and get advantages like no application or processing fees, plus quick approval and no annual fee for 6 months. You need only a $100 minimum for a credit limit that's 150% of your deposit. And your deposit is protected for you in an FDIC-insured certificate of deposit account.
I could never save enough for the required deposit, but FCNB's $100 minimum is a lot lower than the rents.
Call now for a free Secured and More MasterCard application and start building your credit future.
Welcome back. I'm Susan Cranwinkle, and this is How to Boil Water. Even better, today it's how to make brownies. And I'm getting our pan ready. We're going to use a Pyrex pan in this case. And when you're baking with glass pans, the brownies will bake a little bit faster. So instead of 350, we're going to turn it down to about 325, and they'll bake in about 15 to 20 minutes. And the reason I'm giving you a little 15 to 20 minutes is that you know that brownie people fall into 2 camps, those who like them gooey and those who like them cakey. So that's why I've given myself a little leeway, and you can decide which camp you fall into. Since this is a glass pan, I'm going to spray it with a little kitchen spray. Don't worry how much you use. It's better to use too much than not enough. Over here, we've already melted down our butter and our unsweetened chocolate, and we have that all ready to go. Now, the way to keep it in just this one skillet is not to put it into a mixing bowl. We'll just add everything right there. And what we're going to do, I guess I might as well tell you right now, I'm in the fudgy brownie camp, and that's because I just like them real gooey. I almost like them undercooked, but I'll tell you how to do it the other way too. I'm going to add just a half a cup of plain old white sugar, and we'll dump that in right like that and stir it up. I've turned the burner off underneath here at this point, so it's cooling down just a little bit. And I'm going to add another sort of surprise ingredient. You won't know it's there, but I'm going to add a little instant coffee, because instant coffee and chocolate just go together. And the instant coffee kind of brings out that chocolatey flavor. Any kind of instant coffee you want, just a few crumbles, maybe, about a half a teaspoon. And you might even want to get used to measuring the things in your hands, because you don't always have measuring spoons around. And I'll mix that together. And vanilla always goes into your brownies. And I'll give you a little vanilla tip. Every time I bake, whenever I bake with vanilla, I use twice as much as the recipe says. A caterer friend of mine gave me that little tip, and I think it works all the time. Make sure that you have real vanilla, not imitation, and I like to, your recipe will say a teaspoon, so I like to add 2 teaspoons. 1, 2, exactly 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Mix that in. All right, now we're going to dump in 2 eggs. The best way to do it is to just break the eggs right like that on the side of the pan. Mix them in with your spatula or your wooden spoon. If you like them real gooey, you can add 3 eggs to this recipe, but 2 is probably just about as much as you want to do. Don't beat the eggs up ahead of time. Just mix it right like this. And then I'm going to add the flour. If you want cakey brownies, you add 3/4 or 1 cup of flour. And I like them, I already told you, I like them like this. So I'm going to add just a half a cup of flour. You don't have to sift it, just dump it in right like that. Now, you may or may not want nuts. If you want nuts, this is the time to add them. You can add pecans or hazelnuts or any kind of other nuts you want. We happen to have some of these good walnuts, and I'll dump them in like that. And if you're a real brownie fan, you won't put anything else in, but I do like a little grated orange rind that we did, or a little grated lemon rind. It has a nice sort of combination there. We'll sprinkle that in, but you can leave it out if you want to. Stir it all up. And you don't have to be too fussy about whether it all gets in there or not. But at this point, what you're going to want is one of those rubber spatulas. And we have those over here, and you'll see why. So let me just go back, because sometimes it's hard to remember if you've added everything. Sugar, flour, eggs, vanilla, a little bit of coffee, instant coffee, a little grated rind, and nuts. Okay? We'll take this over to our prepared pan. Scoop it out with this spatula. You can see why the kids hate it. Bring it down right like that. Ready to go into a preheated oven. Always use a preheated oven. And we'll put that over there. In the interest of time, I do have a finished product here. And if you'll look in the middle, it has a little hole in the middle. That's because we tested it to make sure it was done. And what you do is plunge a toothpick or a nice little wooden skewer down in the middle, comes out clean, it's ready to go. How to get your brownie out? It's better to not to cut it in the pan, and I think the best idea is to put something like this on the bottom, invert it, give it a whack. Oh, it's not going to come out. Give it another whack. Bingo! There it is. And we'll put it over here, take it off of there, and cut it right like this. And that's about all the room we have for brownies today. Next time, we're going to try something fishy. We'll cook fish and veggies in the microwave. If you would like to receive any of the recipes seen on How to Boil Water, please send a self-addressed stamped envelope to Boil Water, P.O. Box 5458, New York, New York 10185. I'm Susan Cranwinkle, and thanks for joining us.
Hot stuff coming through. Next, TV diners, over the counter and into the dining room. It's a restaurant adventure. Then Robin Leach talking food. A full course of the unusual with an extra helping of fun. So come and get it only on the TV Food Network.